Hello everyone, welcome back to a new episode of Brewing Memli. It's been a while, I've been out of town for a long time doing a lot of projects, but I'm finally back with a new brewing video. A lot happened in the brewing world, and that's what we're going to do today. We are going to brew side by side 3 coffees. In this video, we're gonna try the cold brew approach next to the compound chilling extraction, next to the classic recipe. Remember, our recipe is always the same. 12 grams of coffee for 200 grams of water at 92 degrees. Now, for the cold bloom, I'm gonna drop by 20 degrees to 72 degrees. So I will do a cold bloom, the first 50 grams. Remember, our recipe is 4 times 50. As you know, every coffee is a little bit different. If you check our previous video, with compound chilling and the Paragon, it works a little bit better with new process coffee, experimental, anaerobic, all those sort of newer trend coffee, a little bit less on a classic wash coffee. So for this experiment, I've been using a classic, very clean, natural from Caja in Ecuador. It's a Typica variety. It's a beautifully processed coffee that I think will show up the best for this experiment. It's not overly fermented coffee, it's not a washed coffee, it's sort of that kind of best in between. All right, so here's our contestant. On number 1 and number 3 is the same setup, obviously. On the number 3 will be the classic recipe using 92 degrees Celsius water and 4 equal pools of 50 grams. The first coffee will be very similar, except the first pour will be 72 degrees. So that will be the main difference for this coffee. And the second one will be the classic chilled extraction method. So here I'm using a relatively medium grind size for this coffee. I'm about 8.5 on my Deeding, which is about 27 on the Comandante. Nice Kubomi. All right. As always, we are going to do a triangulation. Well, here it's like 3 triangulation. The one without anything will be the classic. The one with the black one will be the Paragon. And then the white sticker will be the cold bloom. Let's bring in the water and start brewing. All right, 92, 72. I'm going to start with my 72 degrees bloom of 50 grams. That reminds me also on Ibrik Jezve. Remember, Ibrik Jezve, we are using we start at 65, 70 degrees. For this one, a 50 grams hot bloom, chilled over rocks. And this one is our classic Memli recipe, 12 grams, 200 in 4 equal pour. After 40 seconds, we're gonna do the classic recipe here. And basically for this cold bloom, what I realized doing some experiment is that it takes some time for the entire bed to homogenize, right? And once this one reaches 40 seconds, so on the chill extraction, compound chilling, I only do 1/4, mostly the bloom. And here 40 seconds, the second pour. As I say, in this one, it takes some time to kind of, for the coffee bed to acclimatize to the temperature. At 1 minute 20, my third pour. And that often ends with a slightly lower extraction yield, which is okay, because the most important is that it tastes good. My water is 120 ppm using 50 part per million of alkalinity, and the rest a 2-to-1 ratio of calcium versus magnesium. And at 2 minutes, I do often a very center pour until 200. So timing-wise, it's very interesting. As expected, using colder water will decrease the flow, the viscosity of the water. Therefore, this took 3 minutes and 30 seconds, which often my target here is 3 minutes-ish, 3:10. And those was 3 minutes 15 for both of them. This one maybe a few seconds more, can't be the pour. But let's just smell it before we taste. Wow, interestingly, we have a bit more intensity on the cold bloom versus the Paragon chill extraction, with a very nice sweetness here. Of course, the intensity is much more prominent on the hot bloom. Yeah, it's just the main difference is that you have more intensity using hot water. However, this is volatile compounds, and those aromatic compounds are lost. That's why the research done on the Paragon indicate that whatever is gone, and it's not in the cup. So let's see if that is true, because on the smell, those two are really excellent. This is a little bit kind of softer, very delicate, similar to the Paragon. Very delicate, sweet, no bitterness, harshness at all. But because we have more intensity, maybe we're losing on the taste. Let's see that with a triangulation. Okay, we are back for some slurping. Okay, more classic, more intense. A little bit more acidity here. So we have more acidity here, more intensity, and very soft, very smooth, super sweet. Very round on that one, intense but slightly dry. I would think this is the classic maybe. Yes. All right, it doesn't have the sticker. So I can recognize kind of that kind of brightness, intensity of flavors. It's there with slightly more acidity. Maybe it's the Paragon. No, I think it's a cold bloom. I think this is a cold bloom, so white sticker. No, black sticker. So you see? And this is the white sticker. Okay, so I slightly prefer more the extract chilling. Just a tiny, it's very, very hard to tell. The cold bloom makes, I think, very round, very, very soft. But it doesn't have like that richness that you can have. So we can clearly tell the difference between the classic coffee, which is still good, don't get me wrong. It's still how I brew coffee every day. And sort of the cold blooming coffee, right? As it cools down, the cold bloom performs a little bit better. It's a little bit softer, it's a little bit more elegant. And the Paragon extract chilling is more intense. It's joining a little bit the hot bloom. So that's what's happening. When it was hot, it was really hard to tell. As it cools down, now I know. Now my favorite is the cold bloom, because as it cools down, you have a beautiful, round, extremely balanced coffee. So cold bloom, Paragon, and classic. You know what? Let's measure extraction yields. As expected, we have different kind of extraction, but it's actually pretty close. We are at 17.8% on the classic one. And if you notice, all those newer extraction yield that I'm introducing are lower than the suggested one between 18 and 22. But if we have noticed, especially in Brewers Cup competition or in a competition setting, the higher extraction doesn't necessarily mean better cup of coffee, because we want something a little bit sweet. And so here we have actually 17% or 16.9 even, and a 17.2. So those two are pretty close in terms of extraction yield, but you can tell a slight difference here. Now, have you tried those recipes, the cold bloom? It requires a little bit of technique. I know that with one kettle, it's almost impossible. I tried it, especially if you do 72 degrees or lower. So you need kind of 2 kettles, which is not practical at home. But if you can, or if you have the ability to kind of maneuver temperature quickly, try it and let me know in the comments if you found anything new, because we've only used about 6 coffees with this technique and observed a slight difference, especially as the coffee cools down, it becomes a little bit more enjoyable. So beautiful. This is like almost room temperature now. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with your coffee friends. And see you next time for more brewing.